Imagine this happens tonight. Your phone lights up with breaking news. The headline looks urgent. The thumbnail looks official. A calm anchor voice says the situation is developing. The article has a timestamp, a byline, a clean layout, and enough details to feel real. But there is no newsroom behind it. No editor, no reporter on the ground. Just an automated system scraping fragments, generating a story, and pushing it into the feed before anyone can verify the original event. This is not the old internet problem of one viral fake. It is a new machine for manufacturing consensus at industrial speed. The weapon is not a perfect lie. The weapon is the moment when everyone thinks everyone else already believes it.
The first layer is the ghost newsroom. These sites are designed to look ordinary because ordinary feels safe. They use local-sounding names, bland staff pages, generic headshots, syndicated-looking layouts, and article structures borrowed from real outlets. According to NewsGuard, thousands of AI content farm sites now mimic news and information pages across languages. The point is not always to fool experts. The point is to fool the exhausted reader at 1 a.m., the search engine crawling for fresh content, and the social feed looking for something emotionally clickable. The most dangerous fake outlet is not the one screaming at you. It is the one you do not question because it looks like every other tab you forgot to close.
Then the synthetic newsroom gets a face. AI anchors, cloned voices, and generated presenters now borrow the grammar of broadcast authority. The BESC, the lower third, the controlled tone, the world map glowing behind the shoulder. The viewer may notice something wrong after a few seconds, but those first seconds matter. That is when the brain decides whether to lean in, whether to trust the tone, whether to feel alarm. Authority used to come from institutions, access, and accountability. Now it can be simulated with lighting, cadence, and a face that never existed. The fake does not need to survive a forensic audit. It only needs to deliver emotion before skepticism arrives.
That is why the breaking news aesthetic is so powerful. It compresses time. Red banners, countdown language, urgent music, shaky clips, and capital letter headlines all tell the nervous system the same thing: react now. In a calm moment, you might ask who filmed this, where it came from, whether there is independent confirmation, and who benefits from the timing. In a panic moment, you forward it before the questions finish forming. Synthetic news is engineered for that gap. It does not have to defeat your intelligence. It only has to reach your fear before your intelligence gets a vote. The first target is not your belief. It is your reflex.
The second layer is the hallucination loop. One automated site publishes a mistake. Another scrapes it. A third summarizes both. A fourth quotes the summary. A fifth turns the quote into a short video. Suddenly, the original error is no longer alone. It has cousins, citations, screenshots, search results, and comments from people who found it somewhere else. The web becomes a hall of mirrors where machines document each other until a hallucination starts to look like a public record. This is the nightmare. A false detail can mutate from an error into a source, then from a source into something people remember as fact. Fact-checkers are not losing because they are lazy. They are losing the clock. A human investigator has to confirm sources, inspect metadata, contact witnesses, compare footage, and publish carefully enough to avoid adding new confusion. A synthetic system can generate another 100 versions while that work is still beginning. The battlefield is no longer only truth versus lies. It is verification speed versus generation speed. Corrections arrive with footnotes. Synthetic claims arrive with momentum. And on a feed, momentum can feel like consensus. By the time the correction appears, the emotional version of the story may already belong to someone's identity.
Detection tools help, but they are not a magic wall. Text detectors can fail against edited, translated, or human-polished AI writing. Image and video detectors can be confused by compression, screenshots, crops, lighting changes, and model updates. Even when a tool is right, the public may never see the result in the window that matters. Synthetic media does not need to be undetectable forever. It only needs to be believable during the first wave of attention.
That is when people choose a side, share the clip, and emotionally file the event away. Once the first impression hardens, even strong evidence can feel like an attack.
The third layer is personalization. Old propaganda tried to move a crowd with one message. Synthetic reality can move individuals with different versions of the same event. One viewer sees national humiliation, another sees economic panic, another sees a moral threat, another sees proof that their enemies were always dangerous. The event is shared, but the reality is not. Behavioral data becomes the targeting system, and emotion becomes the delivery mechanism. The machine does not begin by asking what happened. It asks which version of what happened will keep this specific person watching, angry, afraid, and certain.
This is how the public square fractures. People no longer argue only about opinions. They argue from different evidentiary worlds. One feed says a border was crossed. Another says the footage was staged. A third says nothing happened. A fourth says the silence proves a cover-up. The disagreement becomes impossible because the shared ground beneath the disagreement has disappeared. A society can survive argument. It can survive ideology. It can even survive distrust. What it struggles to survive is millions of citizens living inside incompatible archives of the same week, each one convinced the other side is not misinformed, but detached from reality.
The fourth layer is fake evidence. A synthetic article can be corrected. A forged document, cloned audio clip, or generated satellite image can do more damage because it looks like proof. It can move markets, inflame conflict, trigger investigations, or give officials a reason to act before verification catches up. Europol has warned about deepfakes in fraud, impersonation, and evidence manipulation. The nightmare is not that everyone believes a fake forever. The nightmare is that powerful people act during the window when nobody knows. In geopolitics, finance, and war, a few hours of uncertainty can become a real-world event.
And then comes the liar's dividend. Once fake media becomes common, real media becomes easier to deny. A real recording can be dismissed as AI. A real scandal can be called synthetic. A real atrocity can be buried under doubt. The same technology that creates fake evidence also gives the guilty a new escape route, not proof of innocence, but fog. That fog is powerful because it does not need to convince everyone. It only needs to make enough people shrug, wait, argue, and move on. In the synthetic era, truth can lose, even when the evidence is real. So what replaces blind trust? The new gold standard is provenance, a record of where media came from, how it was captured, and what changed along the way. Standards like C2PA and Content Credentials try to attach a kind of nutrition label to digital media, showing origin and edit history when available. They are not perfect. Metadata can be stripped. Adoption is uneven. Bad actors can avoid the label entirely, but the direction matters. Truth now needs a chain of custody. The question is no longer only what does this show? The first question becomes, where did this come from, and who can prove it?
But verification cannot be only technical. It has to become cultural. The old internet trained us to consume. The synthetic internet demands interrogation. Who is the original source? Is there independent confirmation? Did this appear first on a real institution or on a site created last month? Is the image provenance visible? Does the headline make you feel too angry to think? In the next media era, skepticism is not cynicism. It is survival equipment. The viewer becomes part investigator, part archivist, part firewall. That is exhausting. But passivity is exactly what synthetic systems are counting on. The real danger is not a future where every image is fake. It is a future where every image is negotiable. Every document becomes optional. Every recording becomes a battlefield. When reality loses default status, power moves to whoever can manufacture the most convincing version of it, or the most profitable doubt around it. That is why synthetic news is not only a media problem,
It is an infrastructure problem for civilization. Courts, markets, elections, emergency alerts, diplomacy, and public health all depend on trusted signals. Break the signals, and the physical world starts reacting to ghosts.
The next global crisis may not begin with a missile, a market crash, or a speech. It may begin with a video nobody can verify fast enough, a document nobody can trust, a headline replicated by machines until doubt feels like truth. The question is no longer whether synthetic reality exists. It does. The question is whether human verification can rebuild a shared world before machines learn to fracture it faster than we can repair it. Because the future may not be decided by who controls the news. It may be decided by who controls what still counts as real.